comments, whatever. Yeah, I mean,
You ready?
I think we did a really good job with the Tuesday in terms of I felt like, and for many Tuesdays, I felt like our guys have handled it really well. And really, I don't get caught up in end results to find out how we've been practicing. It's like, oh, we practiced great last week, but it wasn't that way. These guys have understood how to practice in the process the whole year. A few things didn't go our way as far as results, and we cleaned some things up. But to the guys' credit, man, they've practiced the right way from start to finish, and they continue to do that, and they continue to do that today. It didn't feel any different today than it did if you're coming off a result that wasn't your way. So I appreciate that consistency, and that's going to continue to pay off when you're building a culture like we are here.
What one thing would you say was kind of the biggest difference between the 3 losses and how you guys performed on Saturday?
I honestly think it's the energy when things didn't go right. I do. I think it was just the energy in the game and the feeling of even when things didn't go the way you wanted it, you answered the next drive or you answered on the next play. And I can, point to a few different things, executing early on a 3rd and 8, that then led, obviously when you're 3rd and 8, the first 2 plays you called and ran didn't go like you wanted to. So when you're 3rd and 8, okay, we're going to respond, and then the very next play we tempoed into a 55-yard catch. So that was big. Another example is that was a 14-play drive when we had our only turnover of the game. And that was at the 1-yard line. A lot of times you can come off the field and the energy can all of a sudden sink or get negative, and they came back the next time and went down and scored. Same thing the couple times we punted early in the game, came back the next series and scored. So I commended him on that. I said your energy, because energy when things are going right, everyone has that. It's what's your energy, what's your spirit, what's your mojo, what's your mindset when things didn't just go right. And I thought our guys did an incredible job of that, and you could see it, you could feel it. Even though being in the booth, though, you could just see how they responded, how they were acting. No panic, and came back and just operated the next series or the next play, whatever it might be.
What'd you think of the offensive line, considering that Mike was out? You put in Ryan and you put in Will and left tackle for part of it.
I think they operated extremely well. Obviously, whenever you run the ball and then, ultimately run the ball on the road, which can be even tougher because we did everything from a silent count. So those things were huge. We corrected, the last time we were on the road, we had some issues, whether they be, flags and different things, that way. And in this game, we had, as an offense, one flag for 5 yards, and that's playing extremely clean. And a lot of times that starts with it. It's everybody, but that starts with the O-line, because that's where, you can encounter, a lot of those, flaggable type situations, whether they be pre-snap, like some of the false starts we had trouble with a few weeks before, or their post-snap holds, whatever they might be. They did a really good job. And that was a really, great step from where we were, the last time we were on the road.
On that turnover, you were in tight. Looked like the ball never made it to Chase's hand. Is that one of those situations where everybody's just all compact right by the goal line, and sometimes you're not able to get a clean snap off?
No, we got, clean snaps. A couple plays earlier, we were under center and ran a play action, and that was at about the 4-yard line, so the 2-yard line, 4-yard line, the drive before we were down around the 3-yard line and we were under center for two plays in a row. So really we were under center inside the 5 probably 4 or 5 times before that play ended up happening. I just think it was just kind of, between the two of them, they didn't get it done, and it's not, I don't get into the, that's the QB's fault or that's the center. So, between the two of them, they didn't get it done, and, but they fixed it, and you don't want those things to happen, but when they do, you come to the sideline, you fix it, they can work out, what the issue is, and, and move forward.
With the offensive line, what stood out to you about Will Craig?
Oh, just his both his athleticism and his comfortness of not feeling like, best thing I can say is, as a coordinator, play caller, I didn't notice him, and I mean that in a good way, because if you notice them, it's kind of like a long snapper or anything else. They get noticed when something goes wrong, and that's just the nature of that position at O-line. I guess I shouldn't say I didn't notice him. I noticed what the O-line was doing, moving people, but I didn't notice, whether or not he was on the field or not, or, man, I have to worry about this protection because I have a freshman. I didn't think about any of that stuff, so he just went out there and operated just like the rest of the guys. So, credit to him for that.
When Addy was talking about Will yesterday, he was saying he might make a true freshman mistake, but he's such a good athlete, he can recover from it. You understand what he was telling us there?
100%. I mean, and it's just some guys are gifted with a little bit more certain athleticism and certain things like that can get them out of a jam when they fundamentally don't do something right, and Will has some of that, and some guys can't get away with some of those things, and that's at all positions. You have some of that. So you see it at DB, you see it at different places where they can get away with a bad technique, but athletically or length, they can get back. So, yeah, Will has some of that, but I also thought he was, I thought, and not just for a freshman, just in general, he played really clean as it was. So, just good to see that.
Help a little bit when he's playing there next to Pat, who's been doing it for so long.
100%. I mean, our entire O-line. I mean, they're they're smart. They understand what it takes. They've played a lot of football, so all of that stuff, adds to Will's ability to have success when he goes out there, as opposed to being out there with 3 or 4 other guys who have never played. So, just all those guys' experience, just their level, can help a freshman come in and feel more comfortable. No question.
I was asking Coach Wilcox yesterday about the sequence where Laird ran through a tackle and then 2 plays later stiff-armed a guy and got to the end zone. What do you think? His whole day, but especially that sequence.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great day just as a whole anyway. But yeah, that sequence was neat to see. It was good to see. Because we've all grown to see Pat do that quite a bit over the last couple of years, and just and I think he did. And he'll be the first to say it. He kind of did more of that last year as the season went along, and he got more of those reps and more of those situations that sometimes you try to create in practice, but you don't always get. So I think you're going to just continue to see that, and it doesn't shock me though, because I know that I've just been around Pat now for these 2 years and seen a lot of that, but I'm excited to see more of it. So yeah, that was fun to see.
How would you characterize your quarterback situation?
Yeah, it's still something to where a guy like Brandon and just I have so much respect for a guy that's played a lot of snaps and all of a sudden didn't play much again. Because that's hard. That's hard to go from one to the other. So I still could see it being something where Brandon could definitely see more action at different times than what he saw on Saturday. It was just one of those situations where I thought Chase was in a really good rhythm. And and offensively they got into a good rhythm, so it wasn't something you're not just gonna change at that point. But you never know. It's one of those things where I still look at situations where if Brandon can be an advantage, just like at the end of the game. I mean, here's a guy, he could have been kind of standing on the sideline, not ready to go. I have as much respect for that run he made as I do for anything else anyone on offense did in the game, because he could be standing over there, feeling like, man, I didn't really play today, but instead he's like, numbers called. He goes in there and I think he got about 14 yards after contact, on a 19, 20-yard run, whatever it was. So that's just taking advantage of any situation and just truly being, team guy.
Chase is your starter until further notice?
Yeah, I mean, Coach will, make final decisions on that, and and he'll give you the exact verbiage on that. But I'm ready to go with whatever we decide.
I got a dumb question.
Yeah.
Probably a dumb question. Have you thought at all about making McElwain a running back?
No, I have not. So he's he does a lot at that QB position, and that's where we we'll continue to use him.
With a young quarterback like Chase, how big does a win like that? How big a confidence booster is that?
Oh, it's it's very big. I mean, but you'll see Chase, and you guys know, you've interviewed him. He'll just stay even. He'll just stay even keel. He's not going to make it, be any bigger or less than any other, win or whatever the case. Or he doesn't think of himself as young. So, but I think it's just a win like that at that moment when we were going through a storm that wasn't going our way was huge for us. And obviously, just to go, for ourselves, just go earn one on the road too. And we'd won on the road before, at BYU and other places, so I don't get too caught up in everything people said, but it starts getting talked about, and the guys are like, all right, enough, we just went and won on the road, let's not talk about it anymore. So it was good for those guys to go do that.
Can you talk about some of the practical elements of not being behind the 8 ball with penalties on offense, how it impacts your play calling?
Oh, yeah, as much as anything, first and 10's better than first and 20, or first and 15, or whatever it might be, and it also, when you have plays that go for some yards, it allows you to then get into some tempo and get into some rhythm rather than all of a sudden you go for a 15, 20-yarder, then it comes back. It's not just the yardage. It's literally the stoppage and the slowdown and the standing on the field. So it definitely has an effect on both the situations where when you have more offensive penalties, defense is getting, the numbers they want in terms of downs and distances, and you become behind the chains. It's just the reality, and also it definitely slows down any flow. It's like calling a bunch of fouls in basketball or whatever it might be. You see that with certain teams. It's hard to get in that same type of flow.
Does it limit your play calling quite a bit too when you're in first, second, and 20 and?
Oh yeah,
so not as many runs maybe.
Yeah, you still want to be a little careful about not still sticking with that and committing to that, because they'll sometimes. But yeah, there's no doubt about it, because at the whole time if you do get into those 1st and 15 or 1st and 20, your ultimate goal is to find yourself into 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5 at worst. So it's harder to get to that spot. For sure. If
last week the message was kind of the storm, what's the messaging this week for the team?
Oh, I think it's just, keep doing the things we've done. That's what I told them. Keep doing. And I'm not just saying last week's practice. I'm talking about all year long, the way our guys have practiced, the way our guys have focused, because we knew it was just a razor thin, plays here or there that could be the difference. So really, that's the message. Keep doing what we've done, but when you do have mistakes, like Coach says, and there's always things to correct. I don't care if you lose a ball game or win 49-7 like we did. You find the things that need to be corrected, and you correct them and you work on them. So that's the message, and that's the way the guys handled it. I don't think their attitude or spirit was any different. It's not all of a sudden like we got a win, so now they're coming out feeling like they've arrived again, or vice versa when things haven't gone right. They've stayed consistent, and to me, I respect that.
Was the win a little bit of validation? Because you guys have said if we clean up and play our best football, we can compete with anyone. So, was that kind of like showing everyone that you guys could do that? Or?
Yeah, but, I don't want to get caught up. Who knows? I don't really worry about, and I don't think the guys should worry about showing anything, outside. Obviously, we care about everyone and that, but when you start thinking outside of that, you lose track of the focus and what's important here. And really, it was more about just everyone owning it themselves within this program, and finding a way to put our best product on the field, and keep doing that, and keep loving and appreciating the process.
You got McAllen Castles out there for a few plays on Saturday. What has he shown to get in the game?
Just a lot of athleticism. He's got a lot of size, a lot of speed for his size, a lot of athleticism going and getting the ball. So we're just taking advantage of the fact that you can play some of these young guys. Whether how much he plays the rest of the year, we'll see. But we definitely thought it was going to be a place where we could play him. And I think he only ended up with 3 snaps or something like that. But he could have, potentially there could have been 4 or 5 more snaps, in that ball game. But certain things went the way they did, and he didn't. But yeah, he's shown it. The future's really bright for him, and so it's good to just get him out there and get his feet wet a little bit.
As far as Chase's game on Saturday, what kind of things do you see that needed to be corrected?
Biggest thing was, I just think just some sharpness in some of the pitch and catch throws. If you saw that, you noticed that, because even some of them that were caught, or we missed on a quick out, those have to be, darn near 100%, and where the ball placement is. So some of those things, just working on even just some of the littlest things, just the timing and the accuracy on some of the underneath stuff, definitely could have been better. And then, outside of that, we did miss on a deep ball too down the right side that he could have been better. But you're always going to have that a little bit, where you miss on some deep balls and you miss on things like that. I'm more concerned with the extension of the run game type throws, the short, the quick ones. Those you have to be, continue to be on point all the time, and those are things he can sharpen up a little bit, and he will, because he'll work on it.
What stands out about Washington's defense when you watch them?
They're really physical, just up front, really fat. They have a lot of things they do really well, and they don't necessarily have to. They don't have to create to create chaos. They don't have to try and create it, if that makes sense. They can kind of stay in a lot of their base, and their players can create a lot of that chaos, because they are very talented, strong, incredibly well coached. They don't get out of position. They understand their leverages. They understand, route concepts. They understand run game and where guys are, working through scheme-wise. So they have a great understanding of the game, and they're talented, physical, and they can stay relatively simple, but that's kind of the beauty of it, that they have the ability to play fast, play strong by staying, relatively simple, but not simple to go against, in terms of that, just because they're really good at what they do. And, so a ton of respect for both the guys on the field, how they play the game, and just how well coached they are.
What was it you were seeing that was allowing guys to spring loose for those explosive plays?
Combination of kind of a lot of things we hit on. We talked about the rhythm on offense and no penalties. That allows you to get into some of that, and big plays will happen sometimes when you get in a little bit more of a flow. And then, just like I talked about executing the third down. If we don't execute that 3rd and 8, the big play on the next play never happens, and we kind of, we tempoed into that. So I think it was a combination of, everyone too also just focusing and doing their job at a high level. So when everyone's doing their job at a high level, then that last piece is that guy winning in the one-on-one, as opposed to if someone's missing in protection, or someone's missing downfield run blocking as a receiver, or someone's missing on a throw. If we're missing on one of those aspects, then we don't allow that player to win in that one-on-one situation. So that's what was happening. Better execution overall allows for more one-on-one opportunities to either break a tackle or make a play downfield.
All right, you all good?
All right, thank you guys.
so much.
Thank you.